Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome. If I could have your attention. As you know, today we will hear from 8 members of our class of 2022. Prior to our first speaker, Dylan, Stacey has an announcement about an energy reduction contest our boarding students will have this week. She has done some research on baseline energy consumption prior to this week, and we will see which dorm can reduce usage the most and recognize them with various prizes. Tomorrow we will resume sit-down lunch in Brewster beginning at 12:15. Please be on time and in dress code. We will hopefully have 7 sit-down lunches between now and exam week in the middle of November. I want us to get used to the choreography of how our work program ties to this with waiters, kitchen helpers, dish crew members, and head waiters. I also want to mention, you'll see later today, some new Adirondack chairs around campus that were gifted to the school. There are 15 of them. I think you'll like them very much, so please respect them and use them joyfully and appropriately. As you know, we have 2 weeks of classes remaining in the fall trimester before exams begin on November 14th. We will have one more chapel meeting next Monday. Also, next Sunday, our clocks move forward as daylight savings time ends, so we'll remind you of that again later this week. Before I turn to Stacey, I wanted you to hear part of an email I received from a guest last week. As you know, we emphasize sportsmanship and high standards of personal conduct at Suffield. These are essential parts of our values and commitment to preparing students for a lifetime of learning, leadership, and active citizenship. It read, "We were on the Suffield campus as parents of a volleyball player competing against the Tigers in a varsity game. Suffield students packed the field house, holding signs and supporting their friends. The game was very close, neck and neck, and the stands were spirited. I am moved to tell you that your student section was loud and engaged, but eminently respectful. They were never disrespectful to us as the visiting team. We've played several schools where the sportsmanship of fans was upsetting, and it was a real joy to be in a gym again after this long pandemic and see students involved, energized, but good-natured. It is clear Suffield has a strong sense of community, and I wanted to let you know your students made a very positive impression on our family. Thank you for this, for embracing our emphasis on competition and challenge, but also kindness and goodwill. Let me now turn to Stacey and then Dylan. After Bennett Simpson's talk, you will all be dismissed. One last reminder, for those of you who have athletic team photos today, please be there on time and meet on Bell Hill. We'd hate for you not to be in the photo, which will be in our yearbook and shared with your families. Stacey.
Hello, Suffield. My name is Stacey Orkowskia. This week on campus, we are going to have an electric contest. For those of you who weren't here last year, electric contest is a game where all the dorms compete against each other in reducing energy usage. The rules are simple. Boarders work to cut down the amount of electricity they use as much as they can for 1 week, and the dorm that has the biggest savings wins. The biggest savings is based on comparing the percentage of electricity use from 2 similar weeks. I collected the data for last week and will compare it to how we do this week. We hosted it last year and the results were fantastic. Overall, our dorms were able to cut down the electricity usage by 8%, and the winner dorm, Atkinson, managed to use 30% less electricity than usual. The students were able to achieve that by turning off the lights when they didn't need them, using fans less, and being more efficient with laundry. Unplugging chargers where not in use also helps. For this round of competition, dorms will compete for 3 prizes. As the main prize, the winning dorm will be allowed to go to the union during study hall for 2 nights. The other prizes are a day of dress code and a pizza party for the dorm. Last time, we were able to save 1,640 pounds of CO2. For some context, in this room there are 415 students. With this CO2, all of us would be able to charge our phones for 2 years. So, yeah, we can make a difference right here. So let's do it. Thank you for your attention. Have a great day, Suffield.
Hi, my name is Atkinson. I'm a four-year senior from Suffield, Connecticut. My birthday is in a few days, but it really shouldn't be. Many of you may not know this, but I was born 8 weeks premature of my scheduled January 1st due date. I was given a very low chance of survival, and at one point my heart had stopped beating completely. I was hooked up to various machines in the newborn intensive care unit for almost a month and a half, until I finally went home right around Christmas. Hearing these stories of the complications I went through as a newborn made me appreciate everything that life has to offer, especially my family and everything that comes along with that. I will now read my college application essay that addresses the importance of my family to me and one of the traditions that we partake in, our weekly family dinners. Chicken cutlets, mashed potatoes, cranberry, corn, and a slew of other vegetables I tend to not particularly enjoy. Sunday night family dinner is one of the few moments of togetherness that my family still has each week. But no matter what, all five of us sit down on Sunday at 6:30 and have a meal together. No phones, no television, just one family sitting around the dinner table, talking about the latest occurrences in their lives in the same seating arrangement as the week before. Since my brother has gone off to college, it has been hard to make time to all be together at once, but not on Sundays. My definition of family is what these weekly dinners symbolize: togetherness. Family to me is the most important thing in the entire world. Family has to be there for each other no matter what. Depending on where I end up in the country in about a year's time, family dinner may become rarer than a weekly occurrence. Though I may not be able to make it home every week, family will still always be of utmost importance in my life. My family is always there for me when I need them, and of course, I try to be there when they need me. In all the complexity of life, the only thing that is consistent is family. Everything else can change, but family is forever. It's hard to imagine spending Sunday evenings somewhere else other than the dinner table with them. However, in reality, the time spent there has nothing to do with dinner at all. Rather, it is knowing that there is always someone that will love and support you in everything you do. No matter how someone describes family, it can be broken down into one main aspect: being with the people you love. I hope that there will always be a way to find this sense of togetherness with my family, even if it does not involve sitting around the dinner table every weekend. Life is full of choices that define you. Though you cannot choose who your blood relatives are, you can choose the importance they play in your life. I cannot imagine a life without the tight-knit family that I have. Some people are not nearly as lucky as I am, and I am forever grateful for the love and support my family provides to me. Every single person in my family has taught me how to be a better person, and each has given me endless amounts of advice and guidance. No matter where I end up in life, throughout the highest of highs and the lowest of lows, I know that I will always have my family in some capacity. It does not matter how bad life gets, because I know that they will always be there to support me. The odds of being born are seemingly incalculable, yet I was lucky enough to not only survive being premature, but to be born into my specific family of five that I have been blessed to sit down at these Sunday dinners with. Talk about a crazy statistic. Thank you.
Hello, Suffield. My name is Schiffman, and I am a four-year senior from West Hartford, Connecticut. Today, I want to talk about two people that inspired me. My dad works for ESPN, and over the years has held many roles, from producing ESPN News to the 11 p.m. Sports Center, from making sure college and professional basketball broadcasts are up to national TV quality. These jobs require a large amount of late nights and trips across the country. There are a few nights where my dad goes to bed before midnight. Despite that, every morning he is awake to make sure my brother and I are ready to go for school in the morning. When he travels, I miss having him at home, but I know he is working hard for my family and doing what he loves. His ability to balance an awesome career that he loves while putting his family first will have an everlasting impact on my life. My dad's hard work motivates me in the classroom so that I too can find a job and a career that I'm passionate about. It has allowed me for some pretty cool experiences for my brother and me to share. Dad, thank you. My brother Owen and I are about as close in age as possible without being twins. Being only 13 months apart results in us doing basically everything together for the last 16 years. Owen's boldness inspires me. A great story that showcases this was when we went to Media Day for the NBA All-Star Game in 2015. At Media Day, every NBA All-Star is made available to ask questions. The room was packed with hundreds of media reporters asking the players questions. We were the only kids present. As a 10-year-old, I was a bit overwhelmed by all the famous people in the room. Owen, however, was quite the opposite. He grabbed our dad's phone and ran up to the biggest star in the room. He squeezed through all the media members to get right in front of LeBron James. He had to climb the rail to be seen by the 6'8" superstar. He threw the phone in LeBron's face and screamed over the hundreds of other people trying to get his attention. LeBron goes, "What's up, buddy?" While this was happening, I was out of the picture, scared to death. The moment was just so big for me. But for Owen, it was like talking to any old person. He calmly asked him, "What off-court connections do you have with your old teammates?" Even though all the other All-Stars were leaving because the media time was up, LeBron stayed and answered Owen's question. LeBron told him their connection was strong, thanked him for the question, and moved on. This moment stuck with me for a while. I still to this day admire his confidence and willingness to just go for it. This is one of the many reasons why I admire my brother. To my dad and my brother, thank you for continuing to inspire me every day. I'm so thankful to have you guys in my life. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Suffield. My name is Nino Dentonet, and I am a 4-year senior from Manhattan, New York. The stories I am about to tell you are entirely true. For some context, this past summer I was working at a children's hospice in Romania. First, you might ask, why on earth would I ever want to go to Romania? Well, it has been over a decade since I've seen any family besides just my mother, my father, and my brother. All the rest of them are over there. And secondly, if you don't know, a hospice is like a hospital, except that all patients are terminally ill with no chance of recovery. In that case, being at a hospice is better than being at a hospital because you can focus on the quality of life for the last few remaining months or weeks of a patient. The hospice I was working at in Romania focused on young children aged 6 to 13. Once a child was admitted, there was around a less than 1% chance they would recover from their condition. From admission to the hospice until death, most children lasted around 2 or 3 weeks. So that being said, why did I feel the urge to go to a country like Romania and out of all the things I could have done, aid children in the last few weeks of life? To be completely honest with you, I don't know. I simply had the opportunity to work at the hospice. I don't know what I was looking for, what I might learn, or if I might regret it, or if it would be the most valuable thing I'd ever done in my life. I can recall a conversation I had with the teacher at my old school, John Demony. I was visiting and he asked me what I was going to do this summer. And I said, I was going to work at a children's hospice. He said, "Zeno, you do know what that means, right?" And I simply shrugged and said, "Yeah, I guess so." While I knew exactly what I would be doing, I had no way of knowing what would happen. I would like to share with you what happened, my story of the hospice in Romania. I have 2 stories, each with their own lessons for you today. For the month that I was in Romania, I mostly lived in the capital, Bucharest. The hospice was about an hour south of Bucharest, and in order to get there, I needed somebody to drive me. I didn't have an EU driver's license, which of course presented a problem. That's where Stefan came in. Stefan was a few years older than me, and also worked at the hospice, and every morning picked me up at my apartment in Bucharest and drove us to the hospice to do our day's work. Throughout all these stories, Stefan was there both with me physically and, as you will see, mentally. Story number 1. During the first few days of working at the hospice, I learned how the rotation of children worked. Unfortunately, there were too many patients to take all of them every single day, and so each day a new set of 4 or 5 kids showed up. During the day, the goal was to act essentially like it was a standard daycare center that most of you probably went to as a kid. The tragic part was that even though these children were terminally ill, most often there was actually no way of knowing that or seeing that externally. You couldn't really tell that they were dying just by looking at them. Matters were made even worse because according to the hospice rules, workers, unless necessary, were not allowed to know what each child was dying of. Sometimes a staff member who knew of a particular case would tell Stefan and I if it was relevant to our course of care. This was really rare, however, and often it was a guessing game if we even dared to think about what was happening at all. One day, when Stefan and I were talking, he told us the story of a girl who was either once at the hospice or was still admitted, but was not there that particular day. He didn't know. The girl was 12 or 13 years old, and despite having a brain tumor, beat it, recovered, but sadly the tumor grew back, and at that point there was really no recovery. After learning about her condition, the girl actually refused to take all of her medications and decided to let fate come naturally to her. She was eventually admitted to the hospice in Romania, and that was it. There was no getting out for her until the end. I was busy arranging an activity for the kids to do in the second half of the day one afternoon when Stefan came up to me and asked if I remembered the story of that girl with the brain tumor. I told him I did, and he proceeded to tell me that apparently the girl was at the hospice that day. I asked who it was, because I'd met them all that day, and he pointed to one of the girls I'd been working at all day, and I'd become very confused. You see, I'd assumed that a child, especially a child that was dying of a brain tumor, would seem sad, become apathetic, not really want to have anything to do with existing in life anymore. Even when I was thinking about it myself, what would I do in that situation? I had imagined myself becoming that very same way. She was none of those things. She was the most caring, compassionate, thoughtful human being I think I have ever met in my life. Some of the patients were in wheelchairs, and whenever they needed help, she was the absolute first one there, before the staff in some cases. For the life of me, I cannot figure out what on earth was driving her to act in this amazing way. Whether it was her situation or inherent character, I don't think I will ever know. Stefan and I will be forever impacted by her, though. When I feel tired or feel like giving up, I do like to remember that if she could find it in herself to continue being an amazing human being, I sure as hell can as well. The second story is rather short. One day, Stefan and I showed up to work like usual and everything seemed normal. One of our duties at the hospice was teaching English to the children, and it was the afternoon and I was teaching the colors in English to a group of 4 kids. One of the kids was a girl who earlier in the day expressed her absolute excitement for her 11th birthday, which was coming the day after. I promised her I'd be back the next day to work, and she said she would be back the next day at the hospice. She gave me a very firm handshake, and Stefan and I left along with the kids. The next day came. We drove to the hospice, arrived, and began our day's work. The afternoon rolled around, and while Stefan and I were walking about 10 meters away from the main building, discussing random things during our lunch break, one of the staff members told us it was time for the birthday. We turned to the table set up outdoors and see a wonderful array of cakes, balloons, and fruit, but as we walked closer, something seemed to be a little different. A staff member approached us, sensing we were a little confused as to why the atmosphere seemed off, and he explained to us that the girl who was supposed to have her birthday had passed away the night before. For, I think, it could have been 5 minutes, it could have been half an hour, Stefan and I really walked around the building in complete silence, just trying to process what happened. Neither of us had anticipated that death was an option. We didn't even think about it. We had just assumed that tomorrow would naturally come like it always did, without question for all of us. But that's not how it is for some people. At a certain point in all of our lives, tomorrow will not come. In writing this speech, I went through various iterations of a conclusion, trying to prove some groundbreaking takeaway for you all, a sentence or two to summarize and encapsulate my story into life advice. However, I don't think that's right. You, the student body, are not just one mind, one character. You are hundreds of individual people, each with their own lives, thoughts, and experiences. The only takeaway I want to provide to you is what you individually can take away from these stories. Thank you all for listening, and I hope to see you all tomorrow.
Suffield. Before I begin, I do want to take the time to say a quick thank you. Thank you to Warren Burton. I couldn't have asked for a better roommate. I'm going to miss you so much, but I can't wait to see you on the big screens. Annabelle Oman, my first friend here at Suffield. Thank you for taking the risk and starting the conversation. The Tompkins crew of last year. I was nervous to be a proctor to you all, but it was one of the best opportunities I have been given. Don't let your roommate bite. T, Sue, and Gina, thank you for keeping my limbs attached these past few years. Dear Miss Lloyd, Ralph Waldo Emerson once said, "You cannot do kindness too soon, because you never know how soon it will be too late." In 207 days, I will hopefully be walking across the stage receiving my high school diploma. That means I have 207 days left to show and express my gratitude towards you. Now, I know that seems like a long time from now, but sooner or later, that time will fly by. So where do I even begin? I remember walking into Memorial Room 212 in the year of 2018, already overwhelmed by the school day. Who would have thought that F period English would go and change my life forever? I mean, yeah, I guess that year was when English became my new favorite subject. But it was not necessarily the class material that would go on and help me survive the next few years. That year, I got to have one of the most selfless, kind, and caring human beings I have ever met. I know I do not say it much, as my sarcasm tends to take over most of the conversations we have, but thank you. I truly would not be where I am if it weren't for you cheering me on since the first day of freshman year. While I did not have you as a teacher my sophomore year, you continue to help me in English and support me. You always had time to listen to me rant about geometry and how I didn't understand how shapes worked. You made every effort to try to help me solve the problem, even though you majored in English, so we were both nowhere near the right answer. You helped me figure out ways to make squash more enjoyable. You even checked up on me when this whole COVID thing started back in March of 2020. You know, after Miss Bennett's left and I asked to join your advisory, you could have easily said no, because saying yes meant adding another person to check up on, or adding another advisor report to write. Instead, you accepted me with open arms. You said yes, and I'm forever grateful. Joining your advisory and having you as my advisor has been, and continues to be, one of the best decisions I have made in my life. While there were times when your advice made no sense to me, and you tried using my own words like "don't worry about it" as the advice, it was the thought that counted. When I needed someone the most, you stepped up and you made life tolerable. Not because it was your job, but because you genuinely cared about me. You have been my support system when I felt hopeless and felt like giving up. Believe me, there were times when I was at my lowest point, times when I felt like nothing would get me out of this constant state of sadness, the constant feeling that everything I did was just going to waste. But you believed in me, and you gave me hope. I guess the only thing you haven't really helped me with is dealing with a heartbreak. Who knows, maybe one day while I'm still at Suffield, we'll be singing our lungs out to "Good For You" by Olivia Rodrigo, along with the rest of her album. Or maybe not, because you like to say, no boy in high school was ever worth your time. Also, thank you for playing sour in the car that night we went to eat ramen. It was the highlight of my week. Any small random conversation we have, it never fails to put a smile on my face. Whether it's about me saying I want to drop out to be one with nature, or you being upset that your BuzzFeed result gave you Kevin as your future husband instead of Nick, I am always laughing or smiling. There are times when we easily agree, like the more we watch Gossip Girl, the more we love Chuck and Blair, and the more we hate Dan Humphrey. And then there are times when we are too stubborn to admit that one of us is right. Like with our little disagreements between Big Time Rush and the Jonas Brothers. But Miss Lloyd, we both know that deep down, you know it too, Big Time Rush is the superior boy group. We both know that BTR song Boyfriend is way better than any Jonas Brothers song out there. But in all seriousness, thank you, Miss Lloyd. I truly would not be surviving my time in high school if it weren't for your constant support. I came up to you one day and I told you, I have never felt more defeated in my life. You made every effort to help me, and while at times it gets rough, you have helped me feel less and less defeated ever since I told you that. Thank you for believing in me. You have helped me more than you will ever know. And who knows what the future may hold? Who knows if we will ever see each other again after my time at Schiffman comes to an end? What I do know is that life will be challenging for me moving forward, as I won't have you physically by my side to help me get through the tough times. Thank you for tolerating me and my sarcasm. I know there are times when I take it too far, but I have nothing but love and respect for you. I know it has not always been easy, but thank you for sticking by me. Thank you for never leaving my side. And hey, Miss Lloyd, I am always in your corner cheering you on. Your favorite, Giselle Sriyaga.
Hi, my name is Gabriella, but most of you know me as Gibby. I'm a four-year senior from Suffield, Connecticut, and today I'm going to tell you about me and my brother Ryan's favorite holiday, and secretly my dad's too. My mom, let's just say, tolerates it. And no, it's not Christmas or Thanksgiving, it's Super Bowl Sunday. Yes, I'm very aware of how odd that sounds, but it is the truth. It became our favorite holiday, actually more like a tradition, when my dad, Ryan, and I realized that my mom didn't really care what we ate on Super Bowl Sunday. Maybe we like this holiday so much because of all those childhood memories of the day when Ryan and I would bring our lunches to school and no one would want to trade food with us. What kid wants Newman's own Oreo cookies when they could get the real Oreos from someone else's lunch? But now, every Super Bowl Sunday, the three of us go grocery shopping. Let me take you through what a Nunez Super Bowl Sunday looks like. When I wake up, I head downstairs to see my family. Ryan and my dad are already joking with my mom about how much high fructose corn syrup we're going to buy today. Oh, how my mom hates that ingredient. That's why we had Newman's own Oreos in our lunches. And then I start joking about how much Red Dye number 40 we're also going to buy. Another ingredient my mom hates. She always tells the three of us, ew, that doesn't grow on trees, so why would we buy that? When there are no more jokes to be told, we head out grocery shopping. And every year my mom asks to come, and almost immediately my dad says, absolutely not. You're just going to silently judge us and read all the food labels. As the three of us head out in our Tom Brady jerseys, my mom, like clockwork, stops us and asks if we don't mind picking up a few last-minute ingredients for dinner. My dad takes charge and again says absolutely not, but he always ends up taking her list before he closes the door to leave. One of my dad's only rules for the shopping excursion is that the grocery store has to be a minimum of 15 miles from Suffield. I still can't believe every year he says this. Like, who cares if you bump into friends from town and they judge us in Highland Park for our carriage filled with artificial ingredients? But my dad cares, so we go far from home. Don't worry, Dad, I'm not going to say where we shop. It's a Nunez secret. Once at the grocery store, we grab a cart and the fun begins. Our go-tos are double stuffed Oreos, not the Newman's own ones, of course, Cool Ranch Doritos, and cheese balls. If we see something we want to try, we toss it in the cart. No questions asked. It's the one day of the year everything is judgment-free. Before heading to checkout, the last thing we do is pick up the items on my mom's list. We're always a little concerned about the checkout process. Is the cashier going to look at our cart and judge us on the amount of artificial colors and preservatives in it? It's my mom's few healthy items that always make us feel a little better as we check out. When we get home and see the pure disappointment on my mom's face, we know our shopping spree was successful. My mom does manage to have a hearty and healthy meal for us, like homemade chili, and my dad always makes wings. So it's not a total junk food day. We can only push my mom so far. Then we simply enjoy being together and watching some good football. The Super Bowl may just be a random holiday for some, but for my family, it's an important day we can all share and make funny memories. If you're still confused why my dad, Ryan, and I love Super Bowl Sunday, part of it is the junk food and making my mom go crazy, but really it's the time we spend together, laughing and joking around, and make it a great family tradition. To be honest, I'm not sure what this year's Super Bowl Sunday will look like for my family because Ryan is a freshman in college. We're hoping Ryan will come home so he can come shopping with my dad and I and enjoy the game together like we always do. But I don't think that's going to happen this year. I hope Ryan will share our family's Super Bowl tradition with his friends at BC and show them how to really enjoy the holiday New Year's style. I know I plan to continue the New Year's Super Bowl tradition with my friends when I'm in college. And Mom and Dad, you're always welcome to join us. Finally, I would like to thank some important people in my life. To all my teachers at Suffield, thank you for helping me become a stronger student who is more confident in my academics. To my advisor, Ms. Lloyd, thank you for being my rock at Suffield and for listening to the rundown of my day at every soccer practice. To all my friends, thank you for having my back and making me laugh every day, even when some days are harder than others. And of course, to my entire family, thank you for supporting me throughout high school. I'm gonna miss you all so much next year. Dad, thank you for our crazy, fun, random ice cream trips all year round. I truly love spending time with you and learning from your wisdom. I can't believe you're gonna both be Suffield Academy alums in a few months. Mom, you are truly my best friend. I don't know what I'm gonna do without our crazy Amazon Alexa dance parties in the kitchen. Don't worry, I'll leave an Alexa manual so you don't have to yell at her every 5 minutes because you forgot to set an alarm for something. Thank you for wiping my tears away when I'm sad and picking me back up with your loving self. Ryan, I miss you every day. Home truly isn't the same without you. But I'm so happy and proud of you that you're having an amazing time in college. Thank you for always encouraging me to be my best self. I love you three so much. Thank you all so much for listening and have a great day.
Hi Suffield, my name is Caitlin Seller and I'm a 4-year senior from Granby, Connecticut. A fun fact about me is I'm a twin. And no, we aren't identical, we are pretty much exact opposites. Whenever I say I'm a twin, the following question always is, what's it like being a twin? And honestly, depending on the day, my answer varies. Some days, it's the most amazing and special thing. You always have someone by your side, being your biggest cheerleader, being happy for your triumphs, and cheering you up when you fail. However, on other days, it can be annoying. Especially in my case, if it's 7:05 and Haley's yelling at me that we're going to be late, even though we don't have to leave till 7:20 to get to school 15 minutes before classes start. However, most days I wouldn't change it for the world. When Haley and I were little, we were always known as the girls, or the Seller twins. We did the same sports on the same teams, had the same friends, and we even had our own secret language. However, as we got a little bit older, we started different classes, were on different teams, and explored different interests. Fast forward to Suffield. We both came from a small school where our grade was 14 kids, and we took all the same classes. So when we first got a schedule freshman year and saw that we only had one class, English F period, with Miss Lloyd together, I instantly got nervous. And honestly, it took some time getting used to entering a classroom without me there to crack jokes or complain to, but I think it was the best thing that could have happened. By taking different classes than Haley, I could go outside my comfort zone and stretch myself socially in ways I never had to before because I always had a built-in best friend. Through this, I was able to meet more people and create new friendships. However, even though we were in different classes, we still had soccer in common. But when winter rolled around, it was the first year that, and Haley made the decision not to play basketball. It was the first time we hadn't played the same sport in 15 years. And as time went on, it was more first without Haley. And although it was sad, I was able to find my own personality and interests that I wouldn't have otherwise explored, such as ceramics. Suffield has allowed me to become my own person, and I encourage you, whether you are a twin or not, to go outside your comfort zone and take advantage of what Suffield has to offer. Haley, even though people still get us confused sometimes, we are our own person. I could not be proud of the person you've become. You constantly amaze me every day with how strong, funny, and sweet you are. Next year will be the longest we've ever spent apart, and I'm not sure what I'll do without you. But I know I'm going to be okay, as although we might not physically be together, a part of you will always be with me. I know I can be annoying at times, but thank you for always being my best friend, and I love you so much. Thank you.
Hi, Chode, and I'm a 3-year senior from Litchfield, Connecticut. If you do not know me, you have probably seen me on crutches or with some sort of splint on, because I'm very injury prone. I've not always been like that. It was something about coming to Suffield when my bones decided it was time for them to turn into glass. Sophomore year was not too bad injury-wise. I only suffered a slightly fractured thumb during winter break because I decided it was in my best interest to go over ski jump. It was not until the spring of junior year where my injuries took off. The night before we returned from spring break, I was casually walking down the stairs. I don't know why I was wearing socks, but the next thing I knew, I slipped back, hit my head on the stairs, and rolled down. Unfortunately, I was concussed and had to stay home for about 3 more weeks. When it was time to come back to school, I was pumped. I knew it would still be a little while until I could start playing lacrosse again, but I was just excited to be back. It only took me about a week to pick up my next injury. One night, I was feeling symptom-free from my concussion and decided to go throw a football around. That was another bad idea, because not even 15 minutes in, I was jogging towards the end zone, and Declan throws the ball directly hitting the tip of my finger. This causes my finger to pop right out of place, so thank you, Declan. And remember, I was still in concussion protocol, so when I ran to the health center, the nurses were not pleased. When I got to the hospital, the doctor comes in, pops my finger back into place, and says, "It may be best if you went home for a little while." I was like, no chance. 1, because I had been at school for about a week, but 2, at the time, I may have had slight PTSD from my staircase. So they took me back to school. Then came my second biggest fear of the spring term. First being my staircase, second being the concussion impact test. I somehow managed to fail the impact test, not once, not twice, not even 3 times. I think after my 4th attempt, the school year ended, so I didn't have to take it anymore. After school was let out, I was feeling pretty good about my injury status. All my concussion symptoms were gone, and my finger was almost fully healed. I haven't managed to make it until late July. That is when the very intense sport of tubing got the best of me. Next thing I knew, I had to have surgery and now have screws in my finger. So although I was in a cast for the last 3 weeks of summer, I would say staying healthy for about 2 months was a win for me. I came into the school year a little bummed that I could not play soccer goalie. I'm sorry, Mr. Horn. But things were looking up injury-wise. That was until my roommate, Ryan Jacobson, decided to jinx me during his chapel speech. As a matter of fact, it only took 3 hours after that speech for me to hyperextend my knee and end up with crutches. So thank you, Ryan. Thankfully, this was only a minor injury, and now I'm injury-free, going on about 2 weeks. But that will probably only last for another week or so. Anyways, as an injury-free person, I was thinking to myself, wow, this is nice. I'm no longer out of breath from walking down the halls with crutches, or trying to write left-handed because my right hand had a cast on it. I wanted to keep it this way, so I brainstormed a couple of ideas, and there was. 1, wrap myself in bubble wrap when walking around. The only 2 problems I saw with this plan was obviously resisting the urge to pop the bubbles, and 2, I could still trip and fall, and the bubbles may not give me enough support. So I thought about a new proposal, purchasing an inflatable human hamster ball. The risks in that plan included sharp objects and all inclined surfaces. So let's just say rolling down Bell Hill in an inflatable hamster ball would not be a good idea for me. So if anyone has any good ideas about ways to stay healthy, just let me know. Lastly, I want to end with one piece of advice for the underclassmen. Watch where you're walking and do not try to rush, because you may end up falling down the stairs. Thank you.
And I'm a day student from Granby, Connecticut. My friends know, my advisor knows, and my teachers know, most people know, that during my time in Suffield, I've never really been the most social person. During my freshman year, it was the worst. I left school right after practice every day. I sat by myself at lunch, and being generous, I stayed for dinner maybe once all year. It wasn't until almost my junior year when I became more involved. I started interacting more with my classmates. I stayed for dinner. I went to school activities. And I was finally happy with my life at Suffield. I have people to spend my time with, who I can call my friends. But even now, it's still not a secret that I'm not the most social person around. And I've realized that most people don't know much about me. Because of that, I thought I'd take this as a chance to let everyone know a little bit more about myself. For the most of you who still don't know me very well or know me at all, here are 5 of my favorite things. 5, the built-in friendship I have with my 2 sisters, Emma and Kate, that's Kate with an I. Even though they've moved out and go to college now, there's still a couple of my best friends who are always there when I need them to be. Number 4, Kituitt, Massachusetts, where some of my best memories have come. From voting with my friends to intense bocce tournaments with my family every year. Number 3, 29 Kretz Road, East Granby, a place where I've met some of my best friends and teammates through baseball. Number 2 is Sand in My Boots by Morgan Wallen. And number 1 is all the friends that I've made here, who've made me feel welcome and accepted and turned the honestly negative experience of my early high school days into a huge positive. I want to say thank you to all my friends who've helped me become a better version of myself here at Suffield, as well as especially my advisor, Mr. Mandea, who stuck with me for 4 years to help me all through my time here. As a freshman, I never would have expected to come the lengths that I have, and I have Suffield's community and my close friends to thank for this. Lastly, I need to give a deserved mention to both Juliana and Lily Welby Wright, who requested a mention. But to all the freshmen, I want pieces of advice. Just stay for dinner, because it's small things like this